I couldn't help the short, startled laugh that slipped out when the CEO hurled my husband's clothes at him, clearly hoping to humiliate him in front of everyone. But what David did next flipped the entire scene on its head. It had all begun that Monday morning, a day that, at first, looked like any other. David had been at Cromwell Industries for years, far longer than I ever believed he should have stayed. The place was a ruthless corporate jungle, and its ruler, Richard Knight, ran it like his personal empire. Knight didn't just treat employees as replaceable, he seemed to enjoy making examples out of them. Every evening, David came home drained, shoulders slumped, his tie loosened, and the faint smell of stale coffee clinging to him. He'd stay late without complaint, never admitting how much it wore him down, too proud to confess that Knight's constant undermining was taking a toll. I had long suspected the CEO carried a personal grudge against him. The public jabs, the sly digs, the small humiliations, each one felt deliberate, as though it was part of some private performance Knight enjoyed. But that Monday felt different. David left the house without his usual hurried edge. The restless tension that always clung to him was gone, replaced with a quiet focus I hadn't seen in years. When I asked what was going on, he only said, "Today's the day." Then he kissed my forehead and walked out the door. I assumed it meant something good, maybe even a long overdue promotion. So when I got a message from him around 4 in the afternoon, asking me to come to his office, my heart jumped. David had never invited me there before. My stomach knotted with anticipation, half nervous, half hopeful. The moment I stepped into Cromwell's lobby, that hope faltered. The atmosphere was thick with unease. The receptionist's wide-eyed glance told me this wasn't a celebration. Without a word, she guided me to the executive floor. Inside a sleek, minimalist office, Richard Knight stood at the center like a king presiding over his court, arms folded, confidence dripping from every inch of him. David was a few feet away, surprisingly calm, unnervingly calm. Knight didn't even acknowledge me before launching into his little spectacle. "Mr. Roberts," he said, voice sharp with disdain. "Seems you've forgotten your place. Maybe this will help you remember." He grabbed a pile of David's work clothes, shirts, trousers, even the spare shoes David kept in the office for late nights, and with exaggerated flair, tossed them onto the polished floor. The thud of fabric against hardwood echoed in the still air. And that's when the laugh escaped me. It wasn't amusement, it was disbelief at the sheer absurdity. The CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, acting like a petty schoolyard bully. Knight mistook my reaction for surrender, his smug grin widening. "Consider this your exit notice," he said with satisfaction, as though delivering the final blow. David didn't flinch. Without so much as a glance at Knight, he bent down, gathered the clothes, and began folding them methodically, neatly, as if he were alone at home. I caught the faint twitch at the corner of Knight's mouth when he realized the moment wasn't going the way he'd planned. Then David walked right up to him, the folded stack balanced in his hands, and calmly tossed it back. The clothes landed square against Knight's chest before sliding down his expensive suit. Silence followed. Knight stood frozen, his confidence draining from his face, his eyes darting between us like he had lost his place in the script. David's voice broke the stillness, calm, steady, unshakable. "You've spent years tearing people down to make yourself feel powerful. But dignity doesn't come from you, it's not something you can give or take. It's something I've always carried with me. You've never given me anything. You climb higher by pushing others lower, but real strength isn't about keeping people beneath you. It's about knowing who you are, no matter what someone tries to make you believe. And I know who I am." For once, Richard Knight had nothing to say. The man who could end careers with a single sentence suddenly looked small. David turned to me, still perfectly composed, and with the faintest smile said, "Let's go." We left the way you'd leave a party that had run its course, unhurried, unbothered. In the elevator, I finally whispered, "What just happened?" He smiled again, quiet certainty in his eyes. "Today was the day I decided I'd had enough. I've had another offer waiting for months. I knew Knight would eventually try something like this. Leaving wasn't just about walking away from a job, it was about taking back my self-respect. He tried to break me again, but this time, I didn't let him. I was beyond proud, I was in awe. When the CEO threw my husband's clothes at him, I thought it was just another one of Knight's cruel stunts. But David didn't bow, didn't snap, didn't give Knight the satisfaction. He returned it, with interest. And in that moment, everything changed.